Hi there. My name is Barry. I'm a New York State licensed psychotherapist and a professional spiritual intuitive. This is the second part of the talk of the four basic affects, which were anger, fear, sadness, and now the many names of the positive affect, which can be known as happiness, joy, pleasure, love, etc., etc. Happiness is an emotion, so we're not really going to be talking about it today. We will be talking about joy. We're not going to be talking about pleasure, but we'll be talking about even a little bit of bliss. Joy, being a feeling, can last anywhere from weeks or months or years. For those fortunate few, even decades. Because the feeling of positivity is not a reaction to the external circumstance. It's something that's generated from within. It imbues your reality with your own internal subjective experience of life. I'll give you an example. Two people are traveling, sitting next to each other. One person says, "Ugh, it's taking so long to get there, and it's so bumpy, and I'm so bored, and that air just keeps blowing on me, and it's uncomfortable." And the other person says, "Oh, it's so bumpy. I love the experience. And this wonderful air is blowing on me and it feels so refreshing. And it's so nice to have a quiet, peaceful time so I can reflect. And what a wonderful journey." Two people sitting side by side, totally different experiences. The first person is looking for positives to come from the outside. And not a lot of positives are coming from the outside. It's sort of monotonous and boring. So the person does not have a lot of positive emotional experiences because they're not having a lot of positive reactions to circumstances. The second person, coming from within, has this well of joy coming from within, and that colors everything in their environment. And therefore, for them, their subjective interpretation of what they experience is totally different. Yes, they're on the same monotonous journey. The air is blowing. It's taking a long time, but for them, it's quiet and peaceful and refreshing and really quite wonderful. This is an example of an internal feeling of joy versus somebody who's looking for an emotional experience of pleasure or happiness. Other examples of joy can be when one is choosing to have a profession, a career that one truly loves. Or one lives in a place that is so much in harmony with you and the people are so much in harmony that just being there is a reflection of the internal sense of joy. And the joy goes out to the world and it comes back. And it's a circle. Oh, I love this place. And you see everyone as being wonderful. And therefore, people tend to like you because you're putting out all these good vibes. And you say, "Oh, I'm so lucky. I have such good neighbors. And there's such good food here. And there's so many beautiful things to see and to do. And the parks are wonderful." What you experience on the inside is what you create on the outside. This is true of all situations. When one has a life that one wants to change, the key is not to really take a look and see, okay, what kind of situations did I get myself into? But rather, how do I wish to feel in my experience of life? Do I want to have a positive feeling? And do I understand that my experience of things is my experience? I create my experience. And therefore, that is how the reality is for me. I've had some interesting experiences. A number of years ago, I was with a friend who tends to be very depressed. We were on the subway. I found the ride very pleasant, very short. And looking around, I saw lots of really, really attractive men and women. When we got out, he said, "Oh, that train took forever. And oh my God, I don't know what it is, but people in New York have become so ugly. Did you see that? The women were so unattractive in the way they dressed, and the men with their long, haggard looks, everyone looked awful and so tired." We were sitting on the same car, next to each other, could have been in different worlds. He comes from a place of feeling, of sadness, anger, depression. I was coming from a place of joy. So for me, everybody was polite, everybody was kind. For him, everyone was rude, everyone was nasty. Same exact ride. It would have been interesting had an outside observer recorded it so they could see objectively, were people really kind? Were people really ugly? What was the objective truth? But pretty much there is no objective truth. That's another topic, but in CERN, for example, the very famous supercollider in Switzerland, the top nuclear scientists in the world, nuclear physicists, who are studying quantum mechanics on the highest levels possible, came to the conclusion that reality is in the eye of the observer. Very famous study. Those who expected a wave saw a wave. Those who expected a particle saw a particle. The exact same burst of energy, recorded by the exact same instruments. And yet, when the subjective interpretation of the scientists was working, they saw two different things. And in truth, the instruments even measured two different things, which is of course not possible, but it shows the power of the observer. The way you experience and expect to experience reality generally is what you get. What you expect is what you get. It's not what you see you get. It's what you expect you get. And if you expect good things in life, then you'll get good things in life. If you expect bad things in life, that's what you get. So it's really important to take a look. Now, I mentioned earlier the topic of bliss. Bliss is a very rare experience because, there's experience, oh, I'm just blissed out. That's when there's such an overload of positivity. There's no word for it anymore. You just can't describe it. You're inundated. You're superloaded. That isn't really a word, but anyway. But bliss is when you reach a level of such joy that it transcends the mere experience of joy and it becomes something greater, even holier. When one has a direct communication with the divine, however one interprets the divine, because the conceptualizations are myriad, but the actual experiences are very specific. And on a feeling basis, connecting with the divine, the true divine, not some of the lower, baser energies that sort of make believe they're the divine because people think that they are, but really in the connection of the divine, there's a sense of bliss. If you look in the Catholic religion, the sense of saints, they experience the Christ, the Holy Mother. For them, the interpretation is subjective, but the experience is the exact same as those who are Buddhist and experience the Buddha Vista, or those who are Hindu and go into a state of samadhi, or any other religion where one disconnects from the mundane and really steps into a much higher and very beautiful sense of reality. And in this level of joy, it's a sense of joy, feeling, with the presence of the divine. And when the presence of the divine, however one thinks of it, combines with joy, it brings bliss. Bliss is a transitory experience. It is a feeling because it comes from the deepest aspects of the self, and it can happen often, but it's something that is generally transitory, except for some of the holy people, the Messiah, the great ascended masters, the high-level teachers. They can maintain bliss, sometimes for a lifetime. So, hope that was an interesting and useful overview between emotions and feelings. All right, I will end now, but I hope this has been of interest to you. And until the next time, bye.